We are here to address you on a matter which all of you know right now, which has not even been officially brought to our attention. We also learned about it through social media, and that is what has happened in all these cases, where we see things on social media about nominating our candidates. So this morning we saw on social media that our candidate from Siro East constituency, the Honorable Walukaga, has been denominated by the Electoral Commission, which we think is wrong, illegal, unconstitutional, immoral, name it. As you know, maybe to give you a background, this is an attack on the national unity platform, and you can clearly see it. You remember, we told you people that we had very many candidates who we wanted to nominate over 425, and the regime made sure that we did not nominate majority of the people in those distant places. In Uganda and Eastern Uganda were able to nominate bigger numbers, but in Northern Uganda, Western Uganda, even Far East, they made it very, very difficult for NUP to nominate its candidates. And you remember what happened? We called you for a press conference and told you how they frustrated us from nominating LC5 chairpersons, many of them across the country. Now, after that, they blocked the funds that we had hoped to use to nominate candidates. So many of our candidates did not nominate again because they did not have funds. We ended up nominating 303 candidates. But even before that, you remember that there are candidates who were just clearly blocked from being nominated. In Kedea, where they went as far as denominating, before the denomination, removing 3 women who were trying to contest for that position of woman member of parliament from Kedea. They went ahead and blocked our candidates from accessing nomination venues in other places. So, after refusing to nominate and to do all the things they did, we were able as a national platform to nominate 303 parliamentary candidates. But you have seen what has been happening. The regime, the Museveni regime, has launched an onslaught against our candidates through different maneuvers. There have been largely 2 maneuvers that they are using now to deal with the candidates who are able to nominate. The first one is buying them out. But they don't just buy them out, they buy them out with threats. There are some of these candidates who you saw paraded by Museveni in Barara, in Isinjiro and other places, who are now coming to us to say that the regime threatened them, intimidated them, and told them that if they do not accept to appear in those pictures, they are going to be arrested, they are going to be abducted, their businesses would collapse, etc., etc. So that is how the regime has been operating, trying to buy out those through coercion. Now the other thing they are trying to do is to denominate our candidates. And so far, they have denominated 4 candidates. They denominated Mase Abetchan, Rebecca from NEBI, claiming she did not have enough signatures. A member of parliament requires only 10 signatures, and they said she did not raise the 10 signatures. They denominated our youth candidate for Northern Uganda called Ernest Ayen. Again, for him they claimed that he did not have, that he was not of age, he was not within the age requirement, even when he had documents from NIRA and others. They went ahead and denominated Ongelek Charles, our candidate from Kedea, Kachumbala County. And they claimed, again, that he did not have enough signatures. So this morning, they have gone for the Honorable Walukaga, who is here with us today. We condemn this in the strongest terms possible, and we want to say that this is not just about NUP. Every citizen of Uganda should be concerned about the criminality, the illegality, the unconstitutionality of whatever this regime has turned into. Byabakama and his people are clearly breaking the law. They are turning themselves into the judge, prosecutor in these matters, and even the executor in these matters. Because the Electoral Commission is not mandated under the law to determine qualifications. Its role, once documents are brought before the Electoral Commission and they are authentic, the Electoral Commission can now not go into whether they are equivalent. It is not the entity charged with equating academic qualifications. there is a National Council for Education. Let me tell you this, because some people may think that the NUP did not do due diligence. We did all the due diligence before we nominated our candidates. And we made sure that they had the requisite academic qualifications. The Honorable Matthias Walukaga, here are the documents he submitted for his nomination. The first one is this certificate of mature age /aptitude test, issued by Islamic University in Uganda. Now, after that, he went to the National Council for Education and obtained a certificate of equivalence. Now, the National Council for Education is an entity charged with equating academic qualifications. It clearly says that I certify that Walukaga Matthias, who was born on this date, has certified the National Council for Education in consultation with UNEB that he has completed formal education of advanced level standard or its equivalents. Now, the National Council for Education gave a certificate of equivalence. Now, of course, after that, a complaint was raised, which we thought was ridiculous. In fact, we laughed it off, because it was clear that once someone has submitted this document and accompanies it with a certificate from the National Council, this is the body charged with equating academic qualifications, ladies and gentlemen. Now, they complained to the Electoral Commission, and their main contention was that this document had expired on 12th June 2025. The certificate which he obtained, the certificate of mature age, which he obtained from Islamic University in Uganda. Islamic University in Uganda wrote a letter on the 11th of November. It is here. And it was clearly saying, this is to certify that Mr. Walukaga Matthias, registration number this, sat for mature age up to test held on 25th February 20th and obtained this score. And very, very importantly, the university said that the mature age certificate expires after 2 years if the candidate has not used it to enroll for further studies. Otherwise, the certificate remains valid. Anybody who knows English can clearly see this is very, very clear. The university itself, which gave the document, is saying that this document is valid as long as the person enrolls, goes for further studies. The Honorable Walukaga submitted a letter to the Electoral Commission from St. Lawrence University, where he is pursuing his studies, and right now he's in the 3rd year. Is Walukaga trying to tell us that someone is at university without completing senior 6? The university itself, St. Lawrence, clearly wrote indicating that he is in 3rd year pursuing his academic studies at that particular university. Therefore, and these are the guidelines of the Electoral Commission, they themselves clearly indicate, the guidelines of the Electoral Commission, that once a person submits this certificate from the National Council for Education, it is enough to certify that the person has a minimum academic qualifications. So we ask ourselves, how can Walukaga now decide to take on the role of the National Council for Education? The National Council for Education is saying this man has the requirements. He has the requisite qualifications. Walukaga is saying, no, you do not have those qualifications. Of course, all of you know that there is a hand behind all this. It is clear, this is not the law we are discussing here, it's politics at play. The regime, like I said, has invested massively and launched an attack on our candidates. We have even been told that they are not yet done, that there are other candidates of NUP who they are trying to denominate illegally and constitutionally. So we are here to make an announcement that as a national platform, this is a matter that we cannot take lightly. In fact, all the 4 candidates who have been denominated have been interviewed. Our legal team is working very hard to ensure that there is an appeal against all these illegal decisions of the Electoral Commission. You have been seeing, we've been telling them, first of all, you are journalists here, you imagine that the returning officer is part of the Electoral Commission. The returning officer has nominated a candidate. Then the Electoral Commission, in our view, should be thanked as official at that point. The matters should go to court. But what Walukaga and his team are saying now is that even on the last day before polling, that they can denominate a candidate. That's what they are saying. That right now, as things stand, they are welcome. You can get nominated, get fully nominated as a candidate, do your campaigns, complete the campaign process, and on the day before the voting, Yabaka will write you to say, I have denominated you. What kind of nonsense is that? Does it make any sense to anybody? So, and it happened in the last election. You remember when Museveni realized that he was not going to withstand the pressure. We had a very popular youth candidate for Uganda, for Central Region. That man was denominated a day before the elections. They wrote him a day before the elections and told him, you are no longer a candidate. And again they claimed that two of the people who had nominated him had done so illegally, or they had withdrawn their consent to nominate him. You are members of the press, ask yourselves, you've been seeing all these denominations taking place. How come no single NRM candidate has been denominated? How come? It's either NUP candidates or independent candidates where NRM has strong interests, where they want their candidates to run and oppose. Someone may ask, and you've seen different complaints that, apparently they are resolving, and they make all these blanket statements. I can even predict that maybe if that charlatan in Nakawa had not complained against the NRM candidate, because that, the Nakawa situation where they were saying that they put the wrong constituency. Maybe what that man did, which saved our candidates, was that when they made a complaint, the complaint also was targeting the NRM candidate. And the Electoral Commission realized that now there was no way they were going to disqualify the NRM candidate and others. So they dismissed that complaint. But you have seen every other day they are denominating candidates. You've not seen any NRM candidate being denominated. Finally, on this point, all of you know someone called Emmanuel Rwashande. Rwashande took something called UPDF certificate. UPDF was not in existence by the time, that issue, that certificate was in the 1980s apparently. But the certificate was reading UPDF. Everybody could see that this was a nonsensical document. But you know what the Electoral Commission said? They said that once the National Council had given him the certificate, that they had no power, that they could not go on to inquire into the validity of that certificate. Am I clear on that? That's what the Electoral Commission said. They say that for them, they are not a body that goes on to inquire into the validity of documents. They say that they have to rely on the certificate from the National Council for Higher Education. And we're asking them, how come? If they did not have powers to look into the documents of Rwashande, when did they get the powers to look into the documents of Walukaga? Isn't it a clear case of witch hunt? So, ladies and gentlemen, our legal team is going to court, to the High Court immediately, to lodge an appeal against this decision of the Electoral Commission. But I also must say that we're handling this issue legally and politically. And the party is going to sit very quickly. We know the people who are behind all this clearly, but I can tell them that the people of Busiro East are going to have the last laugh. You cannot impose yourself on the people if people have rejected you. Through all means that you may come up with and all these things. So, our advice would be, let those people go into fair competition. And if they believe that they are strong candidates, let them subject themselves instead of using the Electoral Commission and all these institutions to do these things. But, cry beloved country, the country can see where we are headed now. That institutions are operating as if really they have reduced our country into a complete failed state, where the Electoral Commission is doing these kinds of things, illegalities every day, with reckless abandon. The military is behaving the way it is behaving. Right now we've been talking to our president on the campaign trail. They have blocked him and blocked the roads leading to where he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be in 3 districts today. They have been blocking him everywhere he's going, diverting him to routes of 3 hours instead of taking 30 minutes. So that is the lawlessness we are dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. Above all, protest vote is the answer to all this nonsense that is going on in our country. Let us put an end to all this nonsense on the 15th of January. That is the only chance we have as Ugandans. Because you can see, these institutions are getting eroded every day that passes. The little shame that they had yesterday, they no longer have today. Every day that passes, they continue to become emboldened in their impunity, in their criminality. So the only chance that the people of Uganda have is really to reject the Museveni system that has brought about all this madness.
You have said that when the EC has this case distributed, it is found as official. But when you look at the rules, actually it allows that the High Court cannot entertain a matter when it has not been heard by the Electoral Commission Tribunal because it has quasi-judicial powers. So if it decides, my question then is it really true that it does not have the powers? Like you
no, like I said, what I'm trying to say is actually both a legal and a practical issue. I am saying, for example, why should you have a person campaigning up to a day before nominations and the Electoral Commission says you have denominated this person? Number two, the official who has nominated the person is a member of the Electoral Commission, is an official of the Electoral Commission. Therefore, it is the Electoral Commission which has nominated you. And the point I'm making is that they are now abusing their power. They are abusing this authority. I don't think the powers to entertain matters by the High Court from the tribunal should deal with matters of nomination or denomination of candidates. The Electoral Commission Tribunal can handle so many other complaints. There are many complaints that go, including the ones we have put there. Every time we are beaten, every time, all these things that are happening to us, we write to the Electoral Commission and complain. And the tribunal can hear those matters before they proceed to the High Court. What we are questioning is it really logical that a returning officer nominates someone duly, then the case goes to the Electoral Commission, the tribunal, hears this matter, and decides to overturn the decision of the returning officer a day before? Or in this case, you see how late they are delivering these decisions, when people have put a lot of time, resources and all that in these campaigns and all that. So we think that once the nominating person, the returning officer, has nominated candidates, these candidates should go and campaign, and if there is somebody who says this person did not have the academic qualifications, you should go to the High Court and challenge the victory of that candidate.
The decision of the Electoral Commission, it says that the contention is that the certificate was expiring in June, and the nomination, because I've spoken to National Council for Higher Education, and it says their certificate, whether you continue or you don't continue, it is 2 years. And the contention in that decision is that it expired in June. Perhaps if the nomination were in May, it would not have expired. But the issue is it expired in June, and his own certification when he went to certify, it was in June, it wasn't in October when the nomination was done. So isn't there really some reason for you to just dismiss that?
No, there is no reason, because I've told you that the issuing institution of that certificate is the university. The university says, you see, if I am the one issuing a document, then I should be the one to tell you the validity of that document. It's just clear. If it is a university which has issued a document to you, and the same university is telling you that this document is valid as long as someone enrolls. But also, you ask yourself, just imagine, ask yourself the logical sense. This man is in third year at a university. So what academic document does he have? Is it your contention that he has none? That he has no senior six that took him to university? I mean, it's very, very clear that as long as someone proceeds for further studies, it is clear then that there is a senior six that propelled him or her to go to university. I mean, that is common sense. You cannot say that someone is in third year at a university and you're asking how. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But that's why I'm saying that the very university which issued that document is here. And that is why we're saying that it is not in the place of the Electoral Commission to determine these matters. It is not up to the Electoral Commission to determine such a matter, because it does not have such powers. It is not an equating body. What the Electoral Commission should be looking at is, does someone have a valid document? Yes. If the document is valid, then if anybody has any questions about that document, they should either go to the National Council for Education or go to courts of law, or even to UNEB. But you see that the National Council says that in issuing this document, they consulted UNEB. So Walukaga has now gone against the National Council for Education, he has gone against UNEB, he has gone against St. Lawrence University, he has gone against IUIU. Who does he think he is?